And so these are questions, objections, things that you guys have added to the box. Sometimes they repeat, and if they do, if you ever see me like crumble one up and throw it, that's because it's like a repeat. It's basically the same one, okay? I don't need to repeat the handlers. So the question is, will I work with you or an agent on your team? All right, so by the way, if you want to get some new handlers, I would encourage you to write these down. Not all of them are going to apply to you. So if you're like, well, Jeff, I'm a solo agent, I don't need to write that one down, fine. But it's a real thing. If you're leading a team at a pretty high level and you're doing a lot of advertising, you're going to have somebody say to you at some point in time, well, Jeff, I appreciate you reaching out, but with all the advertising you do, you heard Mike talk about it, with all the advertising you do, am I going to work with you or am I going to work with an agent on your team? My response to that is, if you don't mind me asking, which would you prefer? If you don't mind me asking, which would you prefer? Because, by the way, don't let your ego tell you that they want to work with you. Because for my team owners, they actually may think, especially in my case, well, if I work with you, you're going to be too busy for me. So I kind of was hoping I would be working with somebody else. Honestly, don't think that they all want to work with you. So I asked the question, if you don't mind me asking, which would you prefer? Now let's just say, because the majority of them are saying, well, I'd like to work with you. The majority will say that. I'd like to work with you. Perfect. Then you're going to get to work with me and you're actually going to have the best of both worlds. May I explain? Perfect. Then you're going to work with me and you're going to get the best of both worlds. May I explain? Sure, what's that? Well, you see, my job is to market, drive traffic, and negotiate the best price possible for your home. And in order to do that, I have people behind the scenes that handle a lot of the other things that actually don't add a ton of value to you as a seller. Because ultimately, you want me marketing your property and driving traffic. Yes? Yep, that's what we want. You want me negotiating the best deal for you, right? Yep, that's what we want. Now, I can do all those things, but I can't do all those things at a high level if I'm also driving around putting lock boxes on, if I'm driving around placing fireboxes, if I'm calling you for feedback every single time we have feedback. I can't do those things at a high level. So it actually ends up being a disservice. With me, you're going to get the best of both worlds. I'm going to handle the things you want me to handle, and we have other people behind the scenes to handle the things that aren't necessarily as important to your home sale. Does that make sense? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So you can trust when you're working with me, you're working directly with me on the things that matter most to you. Fair enough? Fair enough. All right? So when somebody asks you that question, that's how you answer it. Why should I pay you X amount of commission when XYZ agent will accept less? And so my question or my response to that would be, well, I specialize in helping sellers put more money in their pocket. And anytime I get an opportunity to hear of an agent who is discounting their commission, it usually gives me an indication of how they handle their negotiating. Well, what do you mean? Well, when you spoke to that agent about the commission rate, did they start with a higher number and then come down after you asked? Yeah, they said blank. We asked them if they would work with us a little bit on it, and they said sure, because of our price point they would. So why won't you? Well, and that interaction took what, just a few moments? Yeah, it happened, within a few moments. So if that agent isn't strong enough to stand up for their own self-worth, how strong could they possibly be when it comes to standing up to your home's value? Because if they were that quickly willing to reduce their fee just to get your business, how fast are they going to encourage you to reduce your price to get a deal? They're already displaying a lack of strength in protecting their own value. And they did it within a matter of moments. So how strong could they possibly be when it comes to standing up to your sales price? Okay. I need a local realtor who knows my market and not someone who's 45 minutes away from here. Ready? Okay, this is a common one, so I hope you're writing this one down or recording it or whatever. I want a local realtor who knows my market, not someone who's 45 minutes away. So I always, when they say this, because I go on appointments 2 hours away, I don't care. So when they say this, I'll say, if you don't mind me asking, what do you mean by local realtor? I always open up with that. If you don't mind me asking, what do you mean by local realtor? Well, someone that knows my neighborhood, somebody that knows the schools, someone that's kind of from the area, someone that has okay. And why is a local realtor important to you? How did you arrive at that decision? Well, because I would think that most buyers would want to work with someone local if they're going to buy my house. You see, the question you should be asking is not, where is my office located? Or we shouldn't be talking about, how far away I am. We should be talking about everything I'm going to do to drive traffic to your property. Because you actually have the best of both worlds when you work with me. What do you mean? Well, you're right. My main office is 45 minutes away. And I've got a big pool of buyers 45 minutes away. And I got a big pool of buyers right here. In a lot of cases, the local agent, the local agency, the local agent is only working right here in this immediate area. With me, you got 2 markets for me to pick buyers from. So you can see it actually would make sense to work with someone further away because they've got a bigger buyer pool. Now, I understand you mentioned, knowledge of the market and so forth, and that's important. And let me ask you a question. How often do you call realtors and ask them about the schools today when you're shopping for homes? Never at all. Well, where do you get your information? Well, I Google everything. Well, then how do you find out about real estate? Well, I use Zillow and Realtor.com and so forth. So essentially what you just told me is that online presence and online advertising is what's driving you to real estate. And so therefore, the conversation we should be having is, what am I doing to drive more online traffic to your home? Would it be all right if I showed you what we're doing to drive online traffic to your home? Sure, Jeff. That's how you handle that one. There's another way to handle it as well, which I've used several times. Usually it's a variation of this one where they say, well, where is your office located? I always say, my office is located right in your driveway. Seriously. My office is located right in your driveway. And they'll kind of chuckle. No, I know, Jeff, I know. But where's your physical office? Well, my physical office is located in Plymouth. And can I tell you how that's a benefit to you? No matter what they say, it's always, and can I share with you how that's a benefit to you? Because they're trying to squash you, and I'm trying to flip the script. They're trying to knock you down and say, I bet he's not going to be able to handle this one. We're going to be able to get this guy out quickly because he's not local. Let's try this one. My office is in Plymouth, like an hour from here. And can I tell you how that's a benefit to you? And then I go into the spiel that I just gave you. So use those when you hear that one. Jeff, I need to think about it, and I need more time than you stepping outside for a few minutes while you return calls. So as I teach in the listing appointment, when they say they need to think about it, my classic is, well, okay, I understand that. And if you don't already know the answer to this, you should write this down. When a seller or buyer, in my case, because I work with a lot of sellers, when a seller tells me they need to think about it, what it usually means is that they would just like some privacy. So I'm attaching a new meaning to them saying they need to think about it. When a seller tells me they need to think about it, what it usually means, this is what I'm saying to the seller, what it usually means is that you would like to talk in private. And I can totally respect that and appreciate that. And why don't we do this? I'll step outside, So, and I'll return calls or do whatever. So then when they say to me, well, no, we're going to need a little bit more time than that, my next go-to is, well, I can completely appreciate that if you need some more time. And since we're all here, before I give you that time, is there anything that's kind of fresh on your mind right now that you'd like me to answer for you? So since we're all here right now, is there anything fresh on your mind that you'd like me to answer for you? And I'll tell you, about 50% of the time, they respond with, oh, honestly, Jeff, we're not a fan of your price. Or, well, honestly, we're not a fan of your commission. Or, honestly, da-da-da-da-da. So sometimes it's just, no. We don't make, or we have other agents coming out. They might give you another objection. So when the stepping outside is ineffective, I'll say, well, since we're all here and it's fresh on your mind, let's talk out loud. What is it that is stopping you from wanting to move forward with me? And then usually they'll give you another objection to handle. We're taking our house off the market until spring, and we're going to relist with the same agent. You're going to relist it in the spring. I love that. And can I tell you why that concerns me? I can appreciate you saying you want to wait till spring, And I love the loyalty you have to your agent. That's great. And can I tell you why that concerns me? Well, yeah, why is that? Well, because right now it's the middle of January. And you know what? There's a lot less buyers out right now. Would you agree? Oh, yeah. We haven't had showing in like 10 days. Why would we want to sell right now? Yeah, but the buyers that are out right now, they absolutely have to buy. And what you're telling me about the spring is the same thing that 7 other people this week have told me. And can I tell you why that concerns me? If everyone I'm talking to right now is saying they want to wait till spring, what do you think that will do to listing inventory when we finally get there? Well, I guess that means the listing inventory would go up. And then if listing inventory goes up and buyers have more choices, what do you think that does to your home's value? If they have more to choose from? Well, I guess that wouldn't help my home value, would it? No. So you really should consider getting it on the market now while you have less competition. Yeah, but that wouldn't matter, Jeff, because I'm still going to stick with my same agent. So this is like a twofer. Let me give you the other one. I can appreciate your loyalty to that agent, and I respect that. In fact, I hope all my clients are as loyal as you are. And I'm curious, when you go to relist with your same agent, what are they going to be doing the second time around that they didn't do the first time? And if they have a new plan, isn't it a little bit of a disservice that they didn't use it in the first place? So you want to relist with the same agent, and I appreciate your loyalty and I respect that. Now, by the way, some of you might think, this is kind of uncomfortable. You guys have these conversations? The sellers want you to be direct. The sellers appreciate a strong salesperson. This isn't working with a buyer where it's fun and happy-go-lucky. Sellers, we got to be direct. So when they say they're going to be relisting with the same agent, you can tell I've used this one a million times, so I can appreciate your loyalty to them. I would want that same loyalty for my clients. And if you don't mind me asking, what is their plan to get it sold the second time around? And if they have a new plan, isn't it a little bit of a disservice that they didn't use it in the first place? What is their plan the second time around? And if they have a new plan, isn't it a little bit of a disservice they didn't use in the first place? I would be silly to sell now and lose my 2.9% interest rate. We'll stay here until we see the rates come back down to 4 or 5%. All right, so let me just say before I hop into the role play, people don't make moves in most cases for financial reasons. If it's an investment property, that's financial, fine. If it's an estate, that's financial. They don't, whatever, we'll hold on to it, it's not costing us anything, right? People don't, for the most part, make moves for financial reasons. What do they make moves for? They make moves for lifestyle changes, lifestyle improvements. You see, even if someone is downsizing, they're still actually improving their lifestyle. They have less yard to take care of, maybe they get everything on one level, maybe they're able to put more money in their pocket because they've got a lower mortgage payment. So when somebody says to me they don't want to sell because they don't want to lose their interest rate, my question to them is, if you don't mind me asking, if the interest rate was 4 or 5%, you have to start with that because that's how I'm going to get them in the frame of mind of thinking about this. Right, Ralph? We got to get them in the frame of mind of their outcome in order for them to answer honestly. So I start off with, so let me ask you a question. If rates were between 4 and 5% today, why would you be moving? Why is moving a consideration for you? Well, we would be moving because we don't need all this space. Our utility bills are $200-300 a month, and we don't even use the upstairs, right? I'm getting them to kind of sell themselves on what they would gain. We would be closer to amenities because we want to move to downtown, just going to pick downtown Detroit, so we can walk around and go to Starbucks, and we don't have to drive to the grocery store and so forth. So let me ask you a question. Do you think it's possible that someone else in your shoes might also be waiting for rates to come down? Oh yeah, I have all kinds of friends that, they've got a great interest rate. It seems like that's the biggest problem, you have right now, Jeff, in the real estate industry. Oh, it's definitely a thing. There's no doubt about it. And let me ask you a question. If and when, because it's not a guarantee, if and when rates do come down, do you think that there will be more buyers that enter the market than right now, or less buyers once rates come down? Oh, I would imagine probably more because, we're not alone. Yeah, you're right. Anytime we see a decline in rates and rates become more attractive, we see an increase in buyer activity. In fact, I don't know if you paid attention to what happened in 2021 and 2022, but when rates were at that number, buyers were doing every single extreme they could think of to get their home purchase offer accepted. I mean, paying 30, 40, 50,000 over appraised value, left and right. Well, you've got a 2.9% rate. Did you have to deal with some of that? Oh my God, there were 14 offers on this house. So the reason why I'm pointing this out to you is because if you wait, you may get a better rate. There's no doubt. And you're delaying your lifestyle that you're ultimately after, and you're going to be paying more for the house. So does it really matter if you lose that rate, if you have to pay more for the home anyways? Never thought of that. There you go. I have a great relationship with my realtor. I love them. They have done a great job for us. So we're going to need to stick with them for now. Well, I can certainly appreciate your loyalty to them, and I can only hope that my clients are just as loyal to me as you are to them. And I'm curious, what is it that they're going to be doing differently this time around? And don't you believe it to be a little bit of a disservice that they didn't do that in the first place? I can certainly appreciate you want to stick with your agent. I mean, I hope all my clients want to stick with me. I love that loyalty. Thank you, for your loyalty to your agent. And I'm curious, what is it that they're going to be differently this time around? And if they are going to be doing something differently, isn't it a bit of a disservice that they didn't do that in the first place? My answer to that one. Jeff, in this market, I could easily sell the house myself. What do I need you for? Well, first things first, it sounds like this is something from a for sale by owner. And my response to a for sale by owner in that setting would be to focus on, for whoever asked this question, to focus on your value of getting them to the closing table and not in helping them find buyers. In fact, I'll even say to the for sale by owner, oh my gosh, you're right. You don't need me to find a buyer today. With inventory being so low, you can probably put up a for sale sign and have 3 buyers tomorrow. I don't blame you for thinking that. And did you know, right now, 2/3 of real estate agent assisted transactions do not make it to the closing table at the same price and terms as originally negotiated? Did you know that? Right now, you have a 66% chance of entering into an agreement with a buyer more than half the time that contract's getting renegotiated or falling apart because of inspection, appraisal, occupancy, disagreements, finance issues. So you're not hiring me to find a buyer. You don't need me for that. You're hiring me to get it to a closing table. Because now let me step out of the role play for a second. When you think about your transactions, all right, let's just say your last 5 transactions. Honestly, how many of them got to the closing table with no issues at all? Think about it. Last 5 transactions. How many of them got to the closing table with no challenges or no changes and no addendum? Not many. Now, if you tell them, hey, you're going to have a 100% chance, they're not going to believe you. So at least we know it's going to be always at least 2/3. So when a for sale by owner or any seller says to you, hey, I can sell this on my own. I don't need, what do I need you for? Well, here's the deal. You can sell this on your own. You can find a buyer probably tomorrow with inventory being as low as it is. And did you know you right now have a 2/3 chance of getting into an agreement with the buyer and having to renegotiate that sale because of something that happens through the transaction? That's where I come in. My value is getting you to the closing table. And then from there, I just follow up for 5 weeks. Next. Well, I need to talk to my wife when she gets home. I can appreciate that. Happy wife, happy life, of course. I don't blame you for that. And let me ask you, when you talk to your wife about the conversation we had about getting your home sold so you can move on to wherever you're moving to, do you think that that will be a positive conversation that she'll be happy to hear? Or do you think that's something that she's definitely, at this point, said, no, we're not moving? No, we definitely want to move, Jeff, but we've just been so discouraged. And we've gotten so many calls. And, I can't make a decision or anything. Okay, then let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and, since we've had a good conversation, you agree, you feel at least that I have the ability to maybe get your home sold, at least through our conversation a little bit, right? Yeah, okay. Let's do this. Let's pencil something in for tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. Is that usually when you're both home? Yeah, usually around 6 is better. Okay, let's pencil it in for tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. That'll give you plenty of time to talk to your wife. Talk to your wife, Have a conversation. If tomorrow night at 6 o'clock doesn't work, just give me a call back. Otherwise, I'll plan on seeing you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So I am setting a penciled in appointment with an understanding that I'm going to let him talk to his wife. And at that point in time, of course, I'm still going to follow up and pre-qual and make sure the appointment's still on. But I got to get something on the books. Because if I don't get it on the books, I'm dead in the water. I got to get it on the books. I got to make them believe that unless they call me back, I'm showing up the next day at 6 o'clock.
Jeff, the last agent that was just here said we can list for $1,000 flat fee. Can you match or beat that? They're doing professional photos as well. Nope.
We really like everything you have to say, Jeff. But we'd like to, it's important to us, we'd like to take the evening to pray on it. Okay? I can obviously appreciate that. And if I were in your shoes, I may consider doing that as well. And it's apparent that you guys already have, because who do you think sent me? I got to word that differently every time for you guys. You guys always ask me that one. What's the most embarrassing listing appointment objection you have had? Most embarrassing listing appointment objection. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it an objection, but I've gone to the wrong house multiple times. I mean, I don't know how that happens, but multiple times. I mean, to the point of where, like, I was invited in and shook the seller's hand. Went right into the script. I thought they were the seller, and they didn't show me to their kitchen. I said, would you mind showing me to your kitchen? They said, well, what are you here for? Is this 123 Banana Street? That's our neighbor. We've done that multiple, not just, I mean, literally, probably I'm almost to two hands that I've done that. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how it happens. Embarrassing thing. I've done this probably multiple times too. I mean, you have to understand, since 2003, I mean, even, you know, I had 10 years, from 2008 to 2019, I never dropped below 100 sales. I mean, that was my number. If Glover U is going to be credible, I had two things I had to do. I had to get a team to 1,000 units, so that way the leaders would respect me. I had to be able to show that I could recruit, train, and develop and coach, so that way leaders in the industry would respect me. And I needed to personally sell 100 homes a year, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 10 years in a row. That was my number. And by the way, when I did both those things, the next year we launched Glover U. I felt it was appropriate. I had the credibility to do so. So if I'm selling 100 homes a year, most of them listings, by the way, out of 100 sales, you know, 70 to 80% were always sellers. You go on a lot of appointments. I mean, just do the math. So there was a lot of appointments where I brought the wrong comps. And that is a little embarrassing. But here's how you pivot from that when that happens. You just turn it into a 2-step appointment. So, you know, multiple times, I've had to open my folder and look and see, oh gosh, I got the wrong comps. Actually, I did it last year on this stage. You guys remember that when I did the listing presentation? We had to stop the presentation. So I guess I got to work on my GPS skills and I got to work on my comps. And so I just turned it into a 2-step appointment. I slowly take the comps out of the folder. I've done this enough. I know the technique when I do this. I slowly take the comps out of the folder and I'm distracting them with my papers and putting them right on top. Because you don't want them to see that you brought the wrong comps if this happens. So I put them right on top and I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's how this is going to go. I like to do my appointments in 2 steps. You won't ever find that in our listing script, by the way. But you have to pivot. So I'd like to review your house, ask you some questions, and just to make sure I get it right, I'm going to come back with a full-blown market analysis. You know, a lot of agents will come in here and they'll just throw some actives and solds at you. I'm actually going to go a little bit deeper now that I've been in your house. I want to treat it like an appraiser would. I'm going to do a very thorough analysis. I'm going to come back and go through that with you. Does that sound fair? Oh, yeah, we'd love that. We aren't really in a hurry to sell. I know it's been on the market for 150 days, but I can keep it without selling until I get the price I want. Okay. We aren't really in a hurry to sell. I know it's been on the market for 150 days, but I can keep it without selling until I get the price I want. So on this one, it's less of an objection handler, and it's more of I go back to the original motivation. So I'll say, now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm looking at my notes here, and I know it's been almost 4 months, but when we first met, you said you were moving because of A, B, and C. So I'm going back to that original conversation. When we first met, You told me you were moving because of A, B, and C. Did something change? No, we still want to do that. So then, if that's still something you want to accomplish, why are you letting a few $1,000s stand in the way of you being able to accomplish that? I'm digging deeper to find out really how motivated they are. Always go back to the original motivation when they tell you that they've got time. Next, do you have a lucky pair of underwear that you wear to listing appointments? You have a lucky pair of underwear that you wear to listing appointments. Why would you wear underwear? Somebody gets it. It's a different way of life, higher quality. Buyer asked to work directly with listing agent to save commission. Obviously, you're on the buy side, and so you're trying to retain this buyer. Well, I would say this. So you're trying to retain a buyer that's saying, I'm just going to work with the listing agent. Okay, now I'm putting my buyer agent hat on here. So I'm going to say, you can certainly work directly with the listing agent, and I'm curious, how do you plan on getting a better deal on the home by working with the agent who is hired to get the best deal for the seller? I mean, think about that for a second. The listing agent is hired to get top dollar for the seller. How will that financially benefit you? It won't. Seller says he needs to sell all his belongings. He's a collector. Won't put it in storage. Won't throw anything away. Costs too much. Da, 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 da. Here's the deal. Whenever you get somebody that wants to do work to their house or, sell all their stuff off or, well, we need to declutter and all this, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, stop right now. I have dozens of stories of sellers who have made improvements to their home and lost money on those improvements. Don't put another dime or another piece of energy into improving your home until I take a look. And I'm going to be around the corner from you later tonight. I'll swing by and I'll give you some suggestions on things you can do. I can probably save you a ton of money. Well, the house isn't really in show condition and da-da-da-da. Nope, don't do anything. Leave it just the way it is. In fact, I had a seller just last spring. They called me up and said, Jeff, we're so excited. We got everything ready. We put in a new kitchen. We did this. They put $80,000 into their house. And you know what? It only improved their value by about $30,000. Can't have that happen. So let me come out first. So use that as a reason to come out first. What are you going to do differently than my previous agent? That's a great question. Let me ask you, your previous agent probably came in and gave you a song and dance about everything they do to sell homes. Is that right? Yeah, they came in and said all these promises, all these empty promises there. Number one of this, number one of that. What are you going to do differently, Jeff? What I'm going to do differently is I'm going to create a custom plan based on exactly the features and benefits of your home. And in order to better understand the features and benefits of your home so I can create a custom plan for you, I got to see it. So if it's all right with you, I'm going to answer that question in person. Are you available tonight around 4:30, 5 o'clock? I'm going to be right around the corner from you. What are you going to do differently? I can't tell you till I see your house. Good news is I'm going to be right around the corner from you. By the way, I'm going to be right around the corner from you has worked for years and will continue to work for years to come. Why? Because they feel like they're not inconveniencing you. You're already going to be there. I'm going to be right around the corner from you. And listen, they probably gave you some song and dance. I'm not going to give you a song and dance. I'm going to give you a custom plan, but I can't give you a custom plan until I see your house. So let's do this. I'll be right around the corner from you. Let me come out and share with you. Okay. I don't want to say, when you ask a seller for their pricing suggestion and they say, well, I don't want to say because I don't want to sway your opinion on price. That's fair. I've heard that one before. What do you say when they say, well, when you ask a question based on everything we've looked at, what do you think we should price your home at in order to keep it competitive? Well, I really don't want to say because I don't want to sway your opinion. Well, I can certainly appreciate that. And the good news is you won't be swaying my opinion because we're collectively doing this together. So if we're going to work together, then we're a team. And you don't want me working against you, and I don't want you working against me. So if it's all right with you, can we openly share our opinions? Yeah, I guess I'd be open to that. And then, of course, they'll say, well, so then what do you think it's worth, Jeff? Well, based on everything I'm seeing, I think it's worth 1.2. And how do you feel about 1.2? Now, what's your opinion? So that's all right. Share your opinion, but immediately ask them theirs and tell them that you're working together as a team. Actual text from a lead today. I know my house is worth in the lower 600s. I've had several offers I don't want to list. In other words, you're telling them maybe it's worth less. I responded with, listing the home will maximize how much you can make. The lead responded with, I understand, but I'm not interested in that. I'm very fair and reasonable and know some people that would love my house. Okay, write this down. Number one, whoever this person is, you need listing mastery because we teach this at a high level.
Write this down. No one is excited about listing their home for sale. Do not talk to them about listing their home for sale. Talk about where they're going and why. No one's excited about having a sign in the yard, a lockbox. Remove that from your vocabulary. Why are you selling? And then from there, I would probably use, in this case, an example. I would use the auction effect as an example. You guys might remember back in the day, banks would, put the price low, and they'd put right in remarks, we're not accepting any offers the first 7 days because they want to fully maximize the home's value. Here's another thing I want you to write down. You can't change someone's mind with one reason. You got to give them 2 to 3 examples. You can't just say, well, if we put the house on the market, then we can maximize the value. How does that maximize the value? Tell me how that process is going to work. Why does that maximize my home's value? Give me specifics. I work in a small geographic, higher-end resort market area. How do I overcome possible buyer sellers who state very long-term? Oh, they have very long-term relationship with current agents. They feel like they're stepping on toes by switching to me. Have no fear. You can't be scared of this. I mean, do you know how often I've went up against the #1 agent in the neighborhood, the agent that lives in the neighborhood? By the way, almost every time I lost more times than I won. But that's okay, I still won sometimes. So I don't care who owns the neighborhood, I'm going after it. And by the way, that's why we teach hybrid farming. The person that's been sending postcards and doing all that other stuff, they're gonna lose when they hear from me once per month. I'm going with a Redfin agent who is going to do it for less. Good luck. So if they tell me an agent is going to do it for less, I would say, by the way, we may have a few Redfin agents in the audience, so I would have done that for any company, by the way. If they tell me that, I'm going to say, well, that's great. And there's a lot of good agents out there that are offering their services at a bit of a discount, and I think that's awesome. I don't blame you for considering that. And I'm curious, was this an offer that they made to you right there on the spot, or is this something that you negotiated? And usually they're all real proud. Oh, no, we negotiated. All right, yeah. And how long did that negotiation take? Well, what do you mean? Well, like from the time you asked for a discount to the time they gave it to you, how long did that take? Well, I mean, we told them that if they lowered their commission, we would go with them. So it was like right away. Interesting. So they reduced their fee for you right away. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So if they were that quick to reduce their fee to earn your business, how fast will they be at discounting your sales price when it comes to negotiations of selling your home? I mean, honestly, they just displayed to you a lack of confidence in their ability. They just displayed to you a low-level ability to negotiate by telling you they would reduce their fee. So they're showing you up front the strength of their negotiation skills. Now, one thing that's more valuable than 0.5% or 1% is your home's value. And if they're already showing you that they're willing to discount themselves, how do you think they're going to stand up for your sales price? Oh, do you preview the home in person on your listing appointment? If so, when do you do it? It's a one-stop show. The appointment's set for 4:30. I'm going out there with paperwork, with my CMA, with everything. I'm going to be there from 4:30 to 5:05. If I get the listing, and 4:30 to 4:55 if I don't. It's a one-stop shop. If you follow our listing presentation, you'll see that it's no more than 30 minutes, and then we do it all in one shot. A friend who wants to buy my house and his attorney will be able to do the paperwork. We don't really need you. Okay, well, hold on. They're doing the paperwork, I get that, but what about the negotiations? Pre-closing, post-closing, occupancy, financing, this is where you'd go back to, you're hiring me to get you to the closing table. I don't want to sell my house because there are no houses to buy. Well, first and foremost, the good news is no one that's worked with me is homeless. So the good news is everyone's been able to buy a house, and I understand inventories are low. And I'm curious, how long have you been looking for a home? Well, because where I'm going to go with this one is I'm going to show them that there are homes out there for them to buy. And actually, when inventories are low, I'm going to take them out and start showing them houses even if I don't have their listing. Now, I would normally not recommend this in a normal market or in a buyer's market because you're going to waste a lot of time because we don't know if their listing's going to sell. But if they have a listing that's in an area where we know the values are hot or we know it's going to sell, then I'm going to risk my time to get out there and get them excited about finding something that fits their needs. In a soft market, I would not recommend it. In this market, normal to slightly hot market, I would get them out, build rapport, show them houses, get them excited. You know how this goes. All of a sudden, they find something, they fall. We got to get it on the market right away. We got to get the price dropped right away. We got to get this thing moved right away.
Jeff, I can appreciate that you can think you can sell my home better than me, but Jeff, I was a realtor for 25 years. I think I can sell my home for sale by owner just fine. Well, I can certainly appreciate that, and I believe you can sell your home by owner just fine. And I'm not concerned about you finding a buyer because with low inventory, you'll probably find one. You don't need me. And what I have found is many for sale by owners like yourself, even if they do find a buyer, struggle to get to a closing table. For instance, did you know that right now 2/3 of real estate agent assisted transactions do not make it to the closing table at the same price and terms as originally negotiated? Did you know that? That means you have a 66% chance of having to go back to the drawing board and start over. And so the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because most for sale by owners are not hiring me to find a buyer. They're hiring me to get it to a closing table. My list price to sales price right now is 99.4%. The Board of Realtors average is 97.3%. So if you factor in, because I know you're offering concessions to help the buyer pay their agent, if you factor just that in alone, I end up netting you more than the market will net you, and it works out to about the same in terms of your costs. So I believe that you can probably get it done on your own with inventory being low, and wouldn't it make more sense to work with someone who's going to end up putting more money in your pocket anyways? I mean, honestly, did you even calculate the amount of time you're going to spend dealing with this transaction? Let me ask you, what do you do for a living? I do this, okay. You get paid a rate, a salary, and of course it's factored in, and I'm sure you've done the math of what you're worth per hour. How many hours, honestly, do you think you'll put into this transaction? You were in real estate before, so you know what it takes place. 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours? Probably just 10 or 15 hours. Okay, well, based on what you just told me, there's $3 or $4 grand right there. So honestly, how much are you really saving by trying it on your own? The answer is you're not. Okay. Oh, this is nice. I don't have a question, but wanted to relay my immense gratitude to those that donated the 3 tickets to this event. I'm lucky enough to be able to be there to be one of those winners. This is my first Glover U event, and it has been amazing. I very much appreciate the opportunity. Sincerely, Jane in Birmingham. Okay. I worked with an agent at your company already, and they stink. Why would I work with you? There's a reason why some agents sell more homes than others. It's not the company that gets the home sold. It's the individual agent's activities. Hello. If we do everything you say, and I still don't hit my preferred monetary net, will you at that point pay me the difference? No.
If I find my own buyer, can we negotiate a lower commission? Whatever you want. If I find my own buyer, can I negotiate a lower commission? Well, certainly at the end of the day, I'm not short-sighted, and I want to help get the transaction done. And if that ends up being the case, that might be something that I'm open to. And if it's all right with you, what I have found is that the buyers that we're able to generate because of our marketing and potentially getting your home in a multiple offer situation are almost always going to end up paying more than family or friends. And again, I'm not going to stand in the way of a transaction. So when an offer comes in, if it's from a family member or a friend and it makes sense for you, you want to sell it to them, then that's absolutely something that I might be willing to work with you on. You know, and of course they might want something in writing at that time, and that's fine. Hey, if they find a buyer, we'll reduce the commission by 0.5% or 1% or whatever. I'll give them that in writing. Why? Because what are the chances it's going to happen? I'm 20 years old. I hear this all the time, Jeff. You're too young to list my home. I started when I was 19. I heard that one time from a lady in a Colonial on Morrison Street in Canton, Michigan. And from that point forward, I went back to my broker and said, how do I never hear this again? And he said, Jeff, you just have to sound like you've been doing this a long time. I said, Tim, what do I got to do to sound like I've been doing this a long time? Because last time I checked, I'm 18 years old. I look like I'm 14. My business card still has my senior picture from high school on it. I used my senior picture my first year in real estate. How do I sound like I've been doing this a long time? Because I never want to hear this again. And that's when I learned about writing scripts, chanting scripts, role-playing scripts. I wrote out the prospecting scripts for expires for sale by owners in my listing appointment once a day for 30 days.
I chanted it once aloud, once a day for 30 days. I role played it once a day for 30 days. You guys have all heard the story. That's how you avoid that one. Because then, by the way, by the time I did that, I was going on appointments and looking younger, sure, but sounding better than 90% of the agents I was competing against. I'm not ready to make a decision. I'm interviewing several agents and we'll let you know when I make a decision. Perfect. Well, if you're interviewing agents, when are those interviews taking place? This is one of my favorites for this one. You're interviewing agents? When are those interviews taking place? And it's like they almost don't even know where this is going. All right, well, we've got one tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We've got one on Wednesday at 3, and our final interview is on Friday at 2. Perfect. It just so happens I'm going to be in your neighborhood this Friday afternoon around 3:30. Since you're already wrapping up your interviews, would it be all right before you make your final decision if I stop by and take a look at your property? I'll give you my 2 cents and you can compare it to the 2 cents of everyone else that you met with. And at that point, you'll have all of your interviews complete. I'm going to be in your area anyway, so it's no skin off my back. It's not a waste of my time. Oh, Jeff, we're not signing anything. No, I don't expect you to sign anything. Yes, you will be. No, I don't expect you to sign anything. I know you've got to go through these interviews, and I'll stop by, because I want to be the last interview. I'll stop by on Friday at 3 o'clock, and it's okay if you don't sign anything. I just want to share with you what we're doing to help more homeowners like you. Does that sound fair? Okay, fine. Come on by. When you finally get that expired seller on the phone, all they agree to do is, I will do a one-time listing appointment. Bring me your buyer. I'm not signing a new listing. Great. Can't wait to meet you. I actually get fired up when they say, you can come out, but we're not signing anything. You're probably wasting your time. Oh, let's go. It's on. Jeff, I like you, but I'm not sure I have enough equity in my house to be able to pay the 7% fees to realtors. I would end up selling for a loss. Could I sell to an investor or sell by owner? What makes you think by selling by owner you're going to net more? Talk to me about that. What makes you think by selling by owner you're going to net more? I only want to sign a 30-day listing agreement. That's fair. We hear that one a lot, actually. Jeff, I'm going to work with you, but I'm only going to sign for 30 days. I can certainly appreciate that you're only interested in signing a 30-day agreement. And if it's all right with you, and what I would say to that, and it sounds like you're looking to get your home sold quickly, is that right? Absolutely, we want to get it sold quickly. Perfect. Then I'd be willing to give you a 30-day listing, no problem, so long as you'd be willing to give me a 30-day price. Well, what's a 30-day price? Well, we were talking about $399.9. And that's taking into consideration everything I think it's going to take to get it sold. If you want it sold faster than that, I think we need to go to $385 right out of the gate. And I'll give you a 30-day listing at $385 because I believe I can get it sold for $385 and probably get us into a bidding war. But if you want maximum dollar value, I need a 90-day listing. And that's going to be better for you anyways, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, because that's going to put more money in your pocket. If you have a seller that's considering updating their kitchen, bathrooms, etc., to get more money on the selling price, what do you tell them? Do you tell them to do it or not? Well, I follow a 3 to 5% rule. And so what that means is if they can make repairs to their home that is no more than 3 to 5% of its value, I'm probably going to make some of them. For instance, carpet, paint, flooring, light fixtures, right? If you figure 3 to 5% of a $300,000 house is somewhere between $9,000 and $15,000. So if we can get all of the carpets replaced for $7,500, for 10 grand, whatever it is, let's do it. If we can get the light fixtures replaced for, $4,000 or $5,000, let's do it. As long as I'm making recommendations that are not going to exceed 3 to 5% of the home's value, oftentimes I make those recommendations if I do believe it's going to help them sell. Well, how do I know what recommendations to make? Well, first of all, use that rule. The second thing is I would make sure you get your hands on every year the Association of Home Builders. I couldn't tell you what it is. I mean, it might be the National Association of Home Builders. Canada probably has one too. There's an Association of Home Builders, and they create a report. It's free. You can all access it. We actually created during COVID. Some of you may remember this if you've been following us for a while. We created a website, a landing page called ImproveMyShelter.com. And we did that because so many people, it's still active. We did that because people were staying in their homes and making improvements. So we found a way to generate leads through COVID because people wanted to know, if I do this repair, will I get this return? So how we did that, of course, there's some algorithms and things in how we designed it, but basically we just used the profile or the National Home Builder home improvement, and it tells you, all right, if you're in the Midwest and you you get California closets. It's going to add 87%. You're going to get 87% of that investment back, right? If you're in the Southeast and you remodel the kitchen, you're going to get 72% of that return back, right? Well, most home improvements you get a negative return, but there's some that you get a positive. You guys know most of those: flooring, carpet, paint. House prices in this neighborhood are on the decline. How do you get this person to list with you when all the news says prices are going up? All right, thank you for submitting this. Well, first of all, you go back to the CMA, actives, pending, solds, and I would go back to where are they moving and why. Remember, everything's relative. Okay, if you're going to wait until prices go up, then for your current home, because you want to maximize the home's value, then you're going to pay more for the house you buy. If you wait for prices to come down when you go buy and you own a home, you're going to get less for your house. It's all relative. All right, so I would go back to the CMA on that one and make sure they understand what's going on specifically in the neighborhood. Thanks, but we have more interviews. Hey, I can appreciate that. And if you don't mind me asking, what else are you looking for in an agent that I haven't displayed today? Hey, I can appreciate that. What else are you looking for in an agent that I haven't displayed today? And then that opens up some other discussions. Okay, that was a repeat. And that is Stump the Chump. Okay?